There you go.
Jai Baba, I'm going to
Okay.
start with a very brief biography of Bhau. And please, so many of you know more. So do not hesitate to tell me if there are any changes to be made. And I am absolutely thrilled to see Mehernath. And I think that was Joanna. So after I finish, we look forward to hearing from them. Bhau Kalchuri was born on January 13th, 1927, one of 8 children to a well-to-do Rajput family in Katani, and my pronunciations, I apologize, in the Balgat district of Madhya Pradesh. He excelled in his studies, completing master's degrees in public administration, law, and chemistry. Before he could realize his career plans, he unexpectedly turned to spiritual interests following a visit to the tomb of Tajuddin Baba in Nagpur. He learned that Baba would be giving darshan in Soner and had a sister that lived there. So he went to stay with her. And in December 1951, Veer Singh Kalchuri, while studying in Nagpur, attended a darshan, his first one, of Meher Baba. He didn't feel Baba looked at him that closely, but he did catch a banana that Baba handed him as prasad. And I think you all know that he ate the banana, skin and all. He tried darshan again in 1953, the same thing. Baba gave him a banana, or he caught it. He ate the banana, skin and all. He wanted more. He wanted to meet with Baba. He requested a meeting, which Baba eagerly gave to him. Baba told Bhau to finish his exams, and when he finished his exams, to come to him. On March 9th, 1953, Bhau arrived at Dehradun, and from then on stayed as a resident Mandali. At age 27, he was the youngest resident Mandali of Meher Baba's ashram, where he served in various capacities, including night watchman and Hindi correspondent. Baba taught Bhau to write a Hindi form of the Persian ghazal and also gave Bhau many other writing assignments, many of which he completed only after Baba's death in 1969. Without any formal training, but according to Meher Baba's orders and instructions, Bhau completed volumes of mystical poetry, plays, essays, and of course, Lord Meher. Interestingly, Bhau's first writing assignment came in 1955, when under instruction from Meher Baba, Bhau helped to organize the manuscript of God Speaks. Points for the Nothing and Everything were dictated to Bhau by Meher Baba in 1967 and 1968. In 1968, Baba taught Bhau to write ghazals. Bhau composed ghazals in Hindi and in English. In 1968, he completed the 170 songs of Meher Sarod, containing many lives given by Meher Baba. In 1969, 7 days before Baba dropped his body, Meher Baba asked Bhau to write his biography in poetic verse. In July 1971, he began to write in prose in Hindi, Meher Prabhu. He wrote this in 7 months. It was translated into English as Lord Meher. As an aside, if you go to Merazad, Bhau's room is there with his desk and bed. In 1973, Bhau became a trustee of the Avatar Meher Baba Public Perpetual Charitable Trust. Public Charitable Trust. He later became its chairman and continued in this capacity until the end of his life. Starting in 1985, Bhau made extensive speaking tours, both inside and outside India. He visited the US, Europe, and Australia. He was interviewed in both the press and radio, and he actually appeared in a film, The Nature of Existence. Due to poor health near the end of his life, he kept in touch with the worldwide Baba community via internet chats and messages. This leaves us with a treasury of memories of dear Bauji and time spent with him. And how much he gave when he came on his travels to us is remarkable and memorable. On Wednesday, October 23rd, October 2013, at 11:17 p.m., Bhau passed to Baba at Jahangir Hospital ICU in Pune, attended by his wife Rama, children Sheila and Mehernath, and very close family. He was 87 years old, the last remaining male member of Meher Baba's Meherazad resident Mandali. How fortunate we were to know him. Jai Baba to everyone.
Jai Baba, Karen, that was beautiful. I learned some things today.
So did I.
That's beautiful. You do such a great job every time.
Thank you, Ruthie.
Well, listen, I just want to open the floor, and I'll remind everyone that what we do here is that we raise our hands digitally. So if you would be so kind as to do so, I will watch as best I can to see if anybody doesn't know how and just raises their hand, but I just put it again in the chat so you know how to raise your hand digitally. Also, I would apologize for the rain. You can hear it in the background. I hope it doesn't make too much racket on the roof here. So I will open the floor to anyone, or Karen, if you think we should.
Mehernath, please. Mehernath. And the people in India.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes. Mehernath, would you be so kind to share some with us this morning and this evening? You have to unmute yourself though. Cha, here comes someone to help. Just need to unmute.
Yeah. Okay, Jai Baba to everyone.
Jai Baba.
This is Bauji's 7th. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. This is Bauji's 7th death anniversary. Everybody is celebrating. From our Ahmednagar Center group also, they celebrated on 23rd night, bhajan songs. People also, they spoken on Bauji's life and that. I will also say some new incident. You know, most of the incidents are there in Lord Mayor while the world slept. And but Bauji's, you know, personal life, daily life, I will just talk about that. We were at Meherabad. We were small, myself, my sister, and we stayed there in family quarter. According to Baba's order, we came to stay in 1957 at Meherabad. Once Baba sent Bhauji to Meherabad to spend 24 hours with us. And Bhauji, when he came to Meherabad, you know, according to Baba's order, it was Baba's order, Bhauji became very, very restless. And my mother from starting, she's very fond of movie, film. And she said to Bhauji, because natural ways, she thought, you know, Bhauji will appreciate, he will like. And there was one film, Jungli, the name of film, Jungli, Hindi. Jungli means wild. And the title was there, that film. And my mother, she said to Bhauji, we'll go to the movie. We have to go to Ahmednagar. My mother, she arranged some vehicle also. And Bhauji was not happy. Whenever he used to come with us, he used to become restless. He was not happy at all. But my mother just forced, and Baba also told Bhauji, what just what your family says, you can follow that, adopt that. For 24 hours, I'm sending to you there. And Bauji, when he was not happy, I observed that, but we came to Nagar. When we came to Nagar, there is vegetable market. There is one shop. First we went there, and upstairs, the house was there, that shop was. And we just spent some time there, and the ticket was purchased, and Bauji became very, very restless. And Bauji never wanted to go to the movie also to see the movie. And my mother, she was forcing. And at last we went, but in a film also, most of the time, just the argument was there. And Bauji said, what type of the film, the jungly film and wild film, and why you like that, And then the whole film, just what we heard. Myself also, I was not that much interested, but what I heard, only the argument with my mother and Bauji. And then we returned back to the Meherabad. Evening time, my mother thought, Bauji will like the bhajan program, and that. Then the bhajan program was arranged. And then after dinner, the bhajan program started from night to morning. Just myself, I slept at night 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, but full night, my mother, she used to make the tea for that bhajan mandli. They used to sing the bhajan songs. My mother, she thought, to please Bauji, she should do something, the Baba's program, and she did that. She performed. And then whole night, Bauji was involved in that. And then next day morning, just he left for Meherazad. And that was our contact with Bauji. Even I was small when Bauji left to Baba Dehradun. And most of the time, my sister, she was very close to Bauji, but myself, I was not that much close to Bauji. And after that, also, I used to feel, Bauji is the Mandli member of Meher Baba. When we shifted to Nagar in 1963 from Meherabad, according to Baba's order, Baba used to send Bauji once a year for 1 hour. And in that 1 hour, Baba used to tell Bauji, inquire about family, inquire about their what breakfast they take, inquire about their education, inquire about their breakfast, lunch, what they take in lunch, nutritious food or not, and then tell Rama to make the food, such type of the food, nutritious food. And whenever Bauji used to come, he used to sit at the veranda side of Adi. Adi's veranda, there was benches, and Bauji used to sit there. And immediately, Baba lovers from Ahmednagar Center, they used to get knowledge. Bauji is here, and all of them they used to come, and then they used to sit with Bauji, and then Bauji used to start discussing about Baba. And then after 1 year, 1 hour, Bauji just my mother used to cook something, and Bauji used to tell her, just send here. I don't want to come in your home. I will eat with these Baba lovers. And then whatever my mother used to cook, Bauji used to eat with used to share with the Baba lovers of Ahmednagar Center, like Rustum Ka Katidaru, then Bhagirath Tiwari, Kokila, all of these, people, they used to come, and Bauji used to spend 1 hour with them. And then after 1 hour, he used to leave for Miraza. When Bauji used to go there, then Baba used to ask him, what you did in 1 hour. Then Bauji used to say, no, Baba, what happened? The center people, they came, and I did not get time to spend time with family. And Baba used to get very, very upset, and he used to say, what type of the person are you? I sent you for the family. You have inquired about their education? No, Baba. In what standard they are studying? No, Baba, I did not inquire. What breakfast Mehernath and Sila they take? What their mother she cooks? You inquired about that? No, Baba. What about their lunch, food, what they take? You inquired about that? Baba, I did not get a 1 minute time to discuss with about these things, because I was involved with the Baba lovers, and 1 hour just I spent with them, because they came and they sat with me, and I did not even go the time to go to the visit to the house. And every year it used to happen, and that was our contact with Bhauji. Mirazad also, when we used to go, Baba used to tell, we used to spend time with Baba, Mandli Hall, and then Baba used to tell, now Bhauji, go in your room and just spend 5 minutes with the family. And then after that, Bhauji used to go into the room in his bedroom. And then Baba used to tell us, you three of you, you can go and just talk with Bhauji, spend 5 minutes with Bhauji. And in that 5 minutes, Bhauji used to sit on chair, and then he used to say, just keep quiet. Some the songs points are there, and just I will write that, and then afterwards I will talk with you. And most of the time, I said Sila was very close to Bhauji. She used to stand near Bhauji's chair, but myself, I used to search in cupboard what Bhauji kept in the cupboard. And at that time, most of the time, Baba lovers used to send the chocolate, Switzerland, from Switzerland, sweet chocolate. Many times, from Iran, like dry fruit used to come to Alova, and then Alova used to distribute to everybody. And Bhauji, whenever we used to go, Bhauji used to keep for me in the cupboard. And then I used to search into the cupboard, and in that 5 minutes I used to collect everything, chocolates or dry fruits, and that was my work. But Sila, she was very particular about Bhauji, and she used to stand near Bhauji, and Bhauji used to spend 5 minutes in remembering the points, and he used to write that points, and then 5 minutes are over, and then we used to come out, and we used to go, and Baba used to call us again, and then Baba used to ask Bhauji, you talked with the family? No, Baba. Some ghazals points were them there in my mind, and I wanted to write, and I was doing that. And then Baba used to get upset to Bhauji, why you are doing such type of the thing? When I said 5 minutes spend with the family, why you did not do that, And that is the our relation with Bhauji up to Baba dropped his body. He was completely involved in the God, in Baba, and his life was totally different from everybody. World is different, but for Baba and Bhauji, means Bhauji's life is only for Baba. His aim and goal was Baba, and all the time, even after Baba dropped his body, evening time also people used to come. They used to sit at veranda, and Bhauji used to talk only about Baba, discussion about Baba. After that, he started writing the books according to Baba's instruction, Lord Meher, Meher Darshan, all the points, he collected. And then afterwards, he started going to the different Baba lovers in Ahmednagar. Many Baba lovers were there, like Aka Chinchorkar, then Bhagirath Tiwari, Rustum Kaka Hatti Daru, and in city also. And then Bhauji used to early morning. He used to live here sometimes 5:30. He used to become very restless, and these people, they used to sleep, and Bhauji never wanted to disturb them, and he used to sit at veranda side. And when the person used to wake up, and they used to open the door, and they used to ask Bhauji, why you are sitting here, why should not knock the door? And Bhauji used to say, I don't want to disturb you. And then Bhauji used to take the account from them, and like that he visited many places, Pune, Bombay, Nagpur. And that time many Baba lovers who came in Baba's contact, they were alive, and they gave their account to Bhauji. And then Bhauji collected that information. Bhauji collected the information from the diaries, his memory with Baba, Mandli's also account he collected, then a record. And then afterwards, when the total material he collected, and then he started writing the book. When he started writing the book, he used to write 18 to 20 hours. Only 4 hours he used to take rest. That time, the financial position was very difficult of trust. Trust was there was no money in trust financial position, and in trust that time everybody used to 40-volt bulb. 40 voltage bulb, not more than that, because RD was not permitting, and the Param working box wala, he was very strict, and they were not permitting even to put the 100 voltage bulb, only 40 voltage. And Bhauji, when he used to sit in record room, there was no table, no chair, and Bhauji used to sit on ground, and the desk, small wooden desk was there, and then he used to write on that 18 to 20 hours completely every day. We used to disturb him, we used to go, Bauji, you can come to eat, come for lunch. And because of that disturbance, many times he used to close the door from inside, and then he used to write that writing work he used to do in that 40 voltage bulb. There was not much light in the hall, and he used to do that work. One night, he got unconscious in the room, and just we entered there, we saw he was just lying on the ground. And then Sila, she saw, she came running, she told my mother, and then we came there, all of us, and then Bhauji has taken to the Booth hospital, and then about 1 month was there in the Booth hospital. When he was writing, afterwards, it was difficult for him to hold the pen also, because his whole hand was shaking like this, and it was very difficult even to write that. But he completed that Lord Mayor, even Meherdarshan, Baba's the life in poetic form, and Baba's life in the prose form. It did that, and then afterwards it got published in English also. He translated. Faram Working Box was there. He was good typist, very nice in typing, because he made Baba's all record, and that even for 1 month he used to go to the Merazat Param Working Box wala. He used to take the typewriter, and he used to tell Mandli member what letters, what is there, I will type. And from morning to night, he used to occupy himself in typing. Ahmednagar also, Varanda, he used to sit and he used to type. And then Bhauji just used to translate that Lord Mayor, and he was doing the typing work. Paramji, he knew English and Gujarati language perfectly, but Hindi, spoken Hindi, he used to speak, but he was not good in reading and translating. Then Bhauji used to stand and he used to translate, and Param Working Box wala used to type that, and that is the Lord Mayor. Then it is translated totally in English. Then afterwards, it was given to the Hermes writer, and then he published that books, Lord Mayor. And now today we see that, the 20 volumes. Now in Indian edition, it became 8 volumes. Baba's Bhauji's that Meher Darshan, that is in poetic form, whole Baba's life. That also I will tell you. My mother had the Ramayana. The perfect master, he wrote that Ramcharitramanas. Once Baba called that Ramayana from my mother, and then Baba, he hold that Ramayana in his hand, and he said to Bauji, what you will write my biography, my life, you will write much better than Ramayana. And Bauji never wanted to write that, because Bauji never got the time to writing work. But Baba said, don't worry, uh, in future you will get lot of time to write. And then Baba dropped his body, and then Bauji, total his mind, his physical form, he is involved in writing work of Baba, and then step by step, he has written that, and most of the time, the points also, it is given by Baba. Even 10% Baba gave to him, that nothing and everything. He has written the Mishra Chicken. Then another books also, It Nothing and the Everything. And 10% it is given by Baba. The explanation, if we read that, first it gets difficult to understand, but when our full concentration and focus, it goes in that, then people they get interest in that, and then people they understand, what Bhauji has written and what Baba just explained to Bhauji, like Vishnu Path, about the Ganesh, about the Jesus Christ, Father, the Spirit, Holy Ghost. Very nicely Bhauji explained, everything, and my request is also there, to all Baba lovers, they can read that, the nothing and everything, Michue Chicken. We understand that, 2 times, 3 times we can read. And in that, the spiritual stories also given, about the Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, about the Shankara, and very nicely it is given about coconut. What is the coconut? Why Hindus they break the coconut? What is the spiritual meaning of that? What is the Vishnu path? What is the Arshe Maula? Very nicely Sufism or Hinduism, Vedantism, and it is very perfectly, what Baba has given the point, and Bhauji he explained in that, and my request is to everybody, people, they can read, and that is we can enter into the inner journey. Outer journey, Lord Mayor, many stories are there. Baba just spent 75 years in this gross world, in with gross body, and in that 75 years, what he did, must work, spiritual work, mad work, then new life, blue bus tour, and he traveled. He gave the service to the entire world. Many places he traveled everywhere. And what work he has done, that is the teaching of Meher Baba. And then the infinite intelligent, or God speak, or the nothing and the everything, mature chicken, in God's hand, all this to take us, understanding us for the inner journey, inner life. And I think so it is time for us, we can read that, concentrate, focus to these books also. It will take time. One time it is difficult to understand, second time, third time, and then step by step, like we get intoxicated in that, and that is the Baba's world. And when we get intoxicated in Baba's world, our life, it becomes different. Our world also, it becomes different. Today, just, from the Baba community, they have given me the chance, to talk. I think so only it was a 5 minutes, but it is now more than 5 minutes. Then thanks to everybody. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai.
Avatar Mer Baba Ki Jai. Thank you, Mehernath. That was beautiful. Joanna, are you able to speak now? There you are. You need to unmute yourself, though.
Jai Baba, we're all in the same, oh, yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, Jai Baba. Yeah, I'm so happy to see all you dear ones, all our dear friends, and Bauji's dearest friends. It's just heartwarming to see your faces. Jai Mer Baba, love you all. I just wanted to share one very small incident that happened with Bauji at the end, as Karen was sharing with us something of Bauji's beginning with Meher Baba. And, at near the end, Bauji, we knew that Bauji had 3 degrees. He had 2 master's degrees in public administration, and he had an LLB law degree, and he also had a master's in agriculture. And Baba, of course, told him to take his exams and finish his convocation, as Karen shared with us. And but Bauchi never mentioned that there was another pending study that he was working on. We never knew this until the very, very end. He shared it with one or two people, but he didn't share it with those of us that were near him at the end. And that was a PhD. Bauchi was studying his PhD, and his PhD work, the subject he chose, and mind you, this is before he met Meher Baba, the subject Bauji chose was the banana. And we all know that Baba gave him one banana and he ate the whole thing, you know? And so here, Bhau Kalchuri's PhD study was on the banana. And he was studying the medicinal qualities and other things with the banana. Well, he completed his PhD work and had it all ready to submit to the board, or however they do it for PhDs, the professors. And when Bauji asked him about his coursework, what he had, convocation work he had to go through, and exams, he had no exam, he just had to present. So he'd never mentioned to Baba about the PhD work, and Baba, of course, knowing everything, never asked him. So then we wind forward so many years, and Bauji told us about this PhD work, and then Bauji put a little twinkle on his face as he could, because he loved humor, and he said that he did tell one person about it. I don't know if this is the only person, but he told Dadi Karawala about his PhD coursework, and that it was all completed, but he was just leaving it. He had left it behind. Well, Dadi asked about it, and he said, "Oh, Bhau, would it be all right if I used your thesis work?" And Bauji was delighted with this, and he says, "Sure, you can use it however you want." And then we all know, all the old Baba lovers know, that he came to the US, I believe it was New York, and he became Dr. Dadi Karawala. And his thesis was on the banana. So Bauji assisted him in getting his PhD. And when he told this story, he was doing his chat, and many of us heard this on the chat, and two people that heard it were Jamie and Zoe Newell. And so they were affiliated with the Meher Spiritual University, and Professor Rator had organized that under Bauji's, Bauji wanted him to. So Professor Rator helped Jamie and Zoe to produce a PhD for Bhau Kalchuri, and it was in his birth name of Veer Singh Kalchuri, and they emailed it to Bauji's team. We printed it out, put it in a frame, and on the chat, Jamie and Zoe got to surprise Bauji with the presentation of his PhD, honorary doctorate degree from the Meher Spiritual University. So, Jai Meher Baba. That's the story I wanted to share.
That's a great story. Thank you so much. And who's up next? Janice? I see a guitar.
Jai Baba, everyone. Jai Baba. Thank you, Mother Divine Ray, Karen, and Swami Paramananda Allen, and Mother Namo, and so happy to see all of you. And Ruth, thank you so much for hosting this. I know all of you have so many memories to share. It goes on forever, and it's a joyful time. Karen asked me to sing a song, so I'm going to sing a song of Bhauji's words. You know, he wrote a lot of English songs. We know that after hundreds of Hindi ghazals, he wrote lots of English songs. A lot of them are still not set to music. And he kept telling me, and it will come out sometime, that we have to make an English songbook. He gave the name of it. The name is You Are Here, Oh Beloved. You Are Here, Meher. But this song is called Meher, Meher, Let Me Sing. And just a few words from Meher Roshani to remind us that when he talked about song and singing, it had a metaphorical meaning as well. He writes at the end of his introduction to Meher Roshani, the one last sentence, I hope that the lovers of God will be touched by these ghazals and that their hearts will seek the tune of the original ghazal, which he sang at the beginning of creation. I also hope that he cannot ignore the singing of my tears without being touched, and that my song will merge with his word. So this is Bhauji's words. Meher, Meher, let me sing. Join in the chorus, it's very easy. Meher, Meher, let me sing. He is beggar, he is king. Meher, Meher, let me sing. He is beggar, he is king. He is the ocean of mercy, but seeking him is not easy. Time he is sinking. Meher, let me see. Meher, let me sing. He is beggar, he is king. Everything is in his hand. Where the mountain or the sand, everything is he making. Meher, let me see. Meher, let me see. He is beggar, he is king. Let me banish ego self. Give me your perfect help. I am tired of dreaming. Meher, let me see. Meher, let me see. He is beggar, he is king. Last time, join me. Meher, let me see. He is king. Mein Baba's king. Mein Baba's king. Jai Baba. Thank you.
Jai Baba. Oh, that was stunning. The melody was just really beautiful as well, I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Verse, so sorry, Bhauji. Coming later. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. All right. So if I'm not sure who else. If Mary Marino Strong is here, would like to share. I don't see her name, so I'm afraid she may not be here right now. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and open it up for everybody else. I think we have everyone, Karen. Is that so from India that we need? Yes? Well, I just would say that as far as the music, the next time, look on your computer and turn on original sound, because it just didn't come as clearly as it could have, but it was still so sublime. Jai Baba, I would love for you to do it again. Okay. Miguel, good morning, good evening, good afternoon.
Good morning, good evening. Oh, wonderful to see Mother C, Mother Joanna, Mother MP, and Mehernath. And wow, it's so special that you came. And wonderful, really. Oh, Shiva, hi, Shiva. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. It's like old days. Well, I must say that just being with Bauji was love and love and love and humor. And love and more humor. And nothing more than that, just that, always that. And he always made us laugh and sing and dance and like Baba did in Guru Prasad, when his intimate ones were around him, then he always liked to have skits and fun and jokes and dancing and singing. And Bauji also did the same. And I think, and I'm thinking also about the very precious thing that Bauji was the night watchman. And in this way, he got to be with Baba intimately for so many hours. And because usually the Mandali were together with him in the Mandali hall or just were going on trips and all that. But with Bauji, he had one-to-one with Baba. And I always felt that with his humor, because Baba had so much humor, that with his humor, he made Baba laugh too. So Baba used to test him. And in those tests, the way that Bauji expressed himself with anger and with desperation and with all the funny things and also with humor, then Baba used to just chuckle without Bauji seeing. That's how I feel about Bauji. Well, it is very interesting. My story with Bauji is that I think that he was there. I believe that Baba, when he left us all the treasure of the Mandali. And when he left us all the treasure of the Mandali, for us, each one of them was reacting to all of us, but reacting to specific ones more intimately. And so I think that Bauji was after me. And it took time for me to realize that he was intended by Baba to help me in my way with Baba more and more. And I'm so thankful to him, so thankful. I think Baba gave the Mandali, he said that he gave the Mandali, the Yoga Sanskars, to his Yoga Sanskars, to just share them with us when we came to him. And I felt that Bauji, he was rushing to share his Yoga Sanskar with as many as he could touch, because he was the last one. And because he knew that we were going into the 3/4 of the world, which Baba was the one to tell him to go out and say to the world. Because he told him, go out and say about the 3/4 of the world. Bauji was so frightened himself. He said, what am I going to say if they're going to ask me questions? He said, you just say Sachitananda, Paramananda, Mer Baba Vidyananda. So that's how the song also started, because he went out and the people asked, and he said, Baba said, Sachitananda, Paramananda, Meher Baba, Vidyananda. And Bauji always made us dance to this tune. I would like to share a song. He always loved us to sing and to dance and to joke and to have fun. And like Baba gave him so many names, he gave him so many names. He was the night watchman, the Hindi correspondence, Baba's lion, Baba's beloved John, head of the suicide squad, and fool number 9. And as fool number 9, he really, really liked it and really, really became the fool of Baba's and joked and fun and had everyone laugh at him and skit with him and video him and just do anything with him, and he would laugh. And so I would like to sing this song to Bauji. Over Batar, Meher Baba, Kiche, and dear Bauji, with all your love and all your charm and all your beauty. Who in the middle of the night, who in the middle of the night would sit by beloved's side, would sit by beloved's side? Not sleeping a wink, the mosquitoes would sting. It was you, Bauji, dear Bauji, fool number 9. It was you, Bauji, dear Bauji, Baba's lion, gazelle, writer, and scribe. Who wrote all the ghazals with his tears? Who wrote all the ghazals with his heart? In chats and talks, at beloved's feet was ground into dust. At beloved's feet was ground into dust. He was from a dynasty came, Chatagaru became. It was you, Bauji, dear Bauji, fool number 9. It was you, Bauji, dear Bauji, Baba's lion, gazelle, writer, and scribe. Who always won the boxing match? Who always won the boxing match? In East and West made everyone laugh and relax. In East and West made everyone laugh and relax. He could not walk and walk, but he talked and talked and talked and talked. It was you, Bauji, dear Bauji, fool number 9. It was you, Bauji, dear Bauji, Baba's lion, gazelle, writer, and scribe. Who filled our hearts with Baba's wine? Who filled our hearts with Baba's wine? In chats and talks, in chats and talk, you opened Baba's tavern wide. In chats and talks, you opened Baba's tavern wide. You would may have us dance and sing Baba's stories you would bring. It was you, Bauji, dear Bauji, fool number 9. It was you, Bauji, dear Bauji, Baba's lion, gazelle, writer, and scribe. Thank you, dear Bauji, sweet Bauji, for all that you and Baba's love for us have done. Sorry for all the mistakes. I'm just too excited. And I love you, Bauji. I love you, and he's still here with us. And he's probably delighted. J-Ho, 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 J.J. Cabo. And yeah, that's it.
That was just beautiful. Thank you so much, Miguel.
Thank you.
Art. And Ken, good morning or afternoon or evening.
It's still a couple minutes left in morning here. I just really want to express my gratitude and appreciation for Bao. I came to Baba in, I think it was 1970, late in the year. And one of the ways that I chose to become closer to Baba in my heart was to write music. And I always talked with Jane on the center, and she sort of helped me develop that as a tool. And then later in the 1980s, mid-80s to the first couple of years in 1990, I met Bao only 2 or 3 times in India and in America. And I had written about 50 or 60 songs um, based on the ghazals in Mehr Roshani and Mehr Sarod, and also from The Nothing and the Everything. And during the times that I met with Bhau, and we had several letters back and forth in, I think it's 88 and 89, and he gave me permission to produce the work and shared the music in India with Mera and Dr. Goher and a number of the Mandali. And when I was over there, I sang some of the work at Mandali Hall. And I just feel that he opened so much of my heart. I sort of got to hitchhike on his relationship a little bit, you know, and he touched my heart deeply. And I just want to express that gratitude. I don't want to take up a great deal of time, so I won't sing. I see Michelle's comment that she.
Well, that's too bad, Ken, because we have so much time.
Do we have? Oh, okay. Well, I will sing then. But you know what I was going to do? I'm going to put in chat. Here's a number of links, and they go to each set of songs. There are 2 sets of 12 songs from Mehr Roshani, 1 set of 12 songs from Mehr Sarod, and another set, I think, of 13, maybe even 14 songs from The Nothing and the Everything. And anyway, I just have so much appreciation and gratitude for him, and I really wanted to express that today in this meeting. I do have my guitar. I'll sing one song.
Excellent. Thank you. Jai Baba.
This was the first song that I had written from Mehr Roshani, and it's O Meherabad. Are you able to hear this? Okay.
Yes, I just wanted to check your original sound is on, right?
Yes, yes.
Of course.
You are the abode of Lord Meher. You are the abode of Lord Meher. Salutations to you, Meherabad. The wine shop's trade will continue here for ages. He who drinks the cup of defeat will be victorious in Meherabad. Loss is the only gain. It is not easy to bow the head, to wash away name and fame, swinging an axe through the self, drinking the wine eternal from this tavern, Meherabad. Meherabad. Salutations to you, Meherabad. You are the abode of Lord Meher. You are the abode of Lord Meher. Salutations to you, Meherabad. beloved tailor has stitched for everyone the perfect fit, but it can be worn only when the old is burned in the fire of love at Mehernath, speaking in languages of the heart. Total forgetfulness is the art. Memory of the days of spring never fades at Mehernath. You are the abode of Lord Mayher. You are the abode of Lord Mayher. Salutations to you, Mehernath.
Jay Baba, thank you so much. Just beautiful. Bershand?
Avtar Meher Baba Teacher. I would like to share my personal experiences rather than talking about Bhauji, because Bhauji's I got a lot of relation with all Mandali members, but more particularly I was very close to Men Mandali and to Iruj Mama and Balnatu. Afterwards I was very close to Bhauji. It so happened one time Bhauji asked me, you know that Merchant, we are from the same college. I didn't realize why. Then I realized. Then he said, "You and I, both we passed from law degree from Nagpur from the same college." So I did my law from Nagpur. So Bauji told me that, reminded me that he was also from Nagpur Law College. And my only the best experiences I had with this, I had a lot of criticism when we in Hyderabad we have started Dhuni program. You know, when Dhuni was lit in every month 12th at Meherabad as per the Baba's instructions. So many of our Hyderabad people, they want to join at Meherabad for Dhuni. So most of the people, they said sometimes reservations was the problems, there was no buses and all that time. Then I wrote to Iruj Mama. Iruj Mama said, whatever you want to do it in for as per the Baba's instructions. And Dhuni should be if you want to do it, but don't do rituals and don't do that, and as per the Baba's instruction you do it. Then we started the Dhuni. Then people again started criticizing, and there are big letters was written to the Mandali and also to stating that Meher Chand is behaving like this, and he started doing Dhuni. And one of the staunch Baba lover who has got a lot, I didn't want to name it because it will be, he is no more and it amounts to backbiting, so I didn't want to name his name, but he has written very this thing. What Baba has said is, what I did, you do it. What I do, you don't do it. Then everybody started again saying that no, Merchant, what you are doing is wrong. I was on the strong. My inner feeling was that I'm not doing anything wrong, because exclusively I'm doing Baba's sake and for the sake of all persons who was unable to go. And then I wrote a letter to that time. Bauji was the chairman, and in 2002 we have started. The criticism started from 2003 onwards. In spite of Iruj Mama and Balnatu told, everybody started criticizing, publishing in the journals, stating that Meher Chand is behaving like this, that, this. Then I wrote to Bauji, and Bauji has written a very beautiful letter stating that what you are doing, first thing is, my dear Meher Chand Nori, you are in jewel in Baba's work. Don't afraid. What don't listen to what others says. What your heart says, you do it. And then he has given the examples of wherever the centers there they are lighting the Dhuni. And what circumstances Baba has said, do what I do, what do what I say, but don't do what I do is with regarding to the cards, playing cards, not with the Duni. And he has given me so many examples of this, and then that consoled me. And then when he said, in next time when you come to Meherabad, you meet me personally so that I can explain. And I went there and they said, he has shown me the letters written to the Western. I was told that in Mount Meher Mount also they lit Duni, I think so. He has shown me the letters and then said, Duni, you are doing. Then first question he asked me, what you do in Duni? I said, we just follow Meherabad Duni, which is called as a Meherabad Duni. And what we do is what like 7 o'clock evening and morning arti, what we do in the morning, 7 o'clock in the evening. Same way we follow the same time as when the whenever I just call the Meherabad people and says what time is Duni time. They said today we are lighting the Duni at 6:45 or 6:15, whatever the time they said we lit Duni, as if I tell everyone that as if we are participating in Meherabad. Then said what next you do? We said we do is we take the events of that month calendar. Suppose in the month of now we take the October. October is the new life day. It starts on 16th October. Second is Maru's birthday, and 23rd is Bauji's. Like that, whatever the instances of the October month importance, we read and we think about that. Then he said, very good, nothing wrong. It gives you more opportunity. And normally, what is your the Jubilee Hills timings? I said we normally meet in the mornings and every Sunday at 10 to 12. Or evenings? I said no, evenings only prayer time. The volunteer who was given volunteer service to go to, they will do it. I said okay, you are once in a month on 12th you are meeting at Jubilee Hills and then thinking about and Baba's atmosphere. And as long as you are not doing any ritual, nothing wrong in doing anything. You are doing for Baba's work and there should not be any shy. If anybody says also in Baba's work, sometimes you have to face the humiliation also. So take it as a gift from Baba. This humiliation, you should take it as a gift. Don't desert it. And that has given me confidence. And suddenly people realize that Duni is not, we are doing Duni for the sake of this thing. What we are doing Duni is totally as if we are doing it Meherabad Duni and participating as if in Meherabad we are doing Duni. And the next instance, I always feel Bauji is the liaison between I always say Bauji is the bridge between West and East, because Bauji has stood vastly the many times every month, every year in the month of June and July and August. Normally, he used to tour the West and used to tell. And the only trustee or only person of from the Mandali used to tour was first initial when I was young. I used to feel that Adi used to visit a lot, sometimes Meherji, and but later days only Bauji used to go. And after Bauji, in between, or once or twice, I think Mehru visited, and twice I think KT has visited, as far as my knowledge goes. But Bauji was a regular, and he was so meticulous. Even the money auntie was the chairman. Total whatever the property is now safeguarded for Meherabad only by Bauji's foresight. That's what I felt. But for Bauji, would not have safeguarded so much of the Meherabad property. And he was I can say in his work he was very meticulous, in his love also meticulous. And we should all pray that we should at least learn something from Bauji, and so that we can also work in Baba's love, as did by the Mandali, which I try to inculcate the activities done by them. And he will be the I can say he is the person who can be future guiding for this thing. And that's the reason probably with his fireside, as Bauji has started written a book on spiritual training of the spiritual workers at Meherabad training program. Because the difficulty in India is getting a visas for the Westerners is a very difficult. How to get, and especially during the Janata Jal regime, there was a restriction was made by this thing. That time the foreign minister was Indrajit Gupta, who was not allowed any Westerners to come to India. And that time he has written, ours is not this thing. Ours is purely exercise and selfless service. Our Meher Baba's motto is mastery in servitude. He has written a letter to the External Affairs Minister, and that has helped Alan Wagner and Ted Judson. Those were the residents there. That time, Bauji played a very vital role, and he also played a vital role in for the visas, passports, and of the Westerners. In his service, I'm thankful to the Meher Circle for giving me this opportunity to think of the Bauji. Avtar Meher Baba ki Jai.
Jay Baba. Thank you, Mehershand. Now I see Aunt Mary Marino Strong is here. I don't know if you'd be willing to share. Oh, great. Just go ahead and unmute yourself. Oh, geez, I don't see a microphone. I don't think you're connected. Let me see. I don't know if you're connected, Mary, to the sound. We can't hear you. You may need to sign off and come back in. If you would just sign out and come back in, it may bring your microphone up because we can't hear you right now. I'm so sorry. Let's see, connecting to audio. This may be it. No, we can't hear you. Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, the only thing I can say again is to just come all the way out, just close out of Zoom and come back in and see if that will bring your microphone up this time. And I don't see any hands, so I guess I'll take a moment while you're trying to sort that out, Mary, and just share. Bookstore, voila. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Jai Baba, this is Shiva here. It's great to see so many familiar faces and just to think about all the grand times we had all over the world and all the people, including Bhau, who are no longer with us. And I just loved hanging out with Bhau. He was incredibly entertaining. I'm sure I obtained some spiritual benefit, but I was there just because I could never figure out what Bhau was going to do next. He was totally spontaneous, always joking and humorous, but always with a huge subtext of truth underneath. And just wanted to share 3 quotes from him that have always stuck with me. There's no need to renounce the world. Just love God and the world will renounce you. And wait a minute, I have senior moment here. The other quote will come to me in a minute. And the other thing was nothing pending. And whenever we were doing emails, he would make sure that everything that he had scheduled to do that day was done, even if it meant going to bed at 2 a.m. And so anyway, what I have pending is we're trying, Janice, Joanna, and Mother Namo and everybody else, trying to assemble all of Baal's talks and writings under one roof, and which are voluminous, scattered all over the world, and amidst people's memories that are, like mine, probably fading. So the first step is to create a wiki where people can do Baal's whereabouts and whenabouts. And we had a beautiful wiki designed by Kara Gilligan's friend, Mauro, who Kara had laid out the Awakenings book. Anyway, unfortunately, it crashed. There was no server, but Dave Harkins at jaibaba.com, which was a Facebook for Baba people before Facebook has set up a Bhau wiki site, but I don't know how to program it. So if anybody knows how to program a wiki that we can do a complete catalog of Bhau's tours, please let Janice or Joanna or me know. Until then, just keep remembering how incredibly we're fortunate to have met such a giant. Jai Baba.
Okay, Baba. I just wondered, you said you had 3 things. Have any of
I
the
know. I'm trying to think what the senior moment, of course. He said this was when Bhau, again, really wanted to be a spiritual aspirant and wanted to go to Rishikesh. And when they actually went, they found it filthy, full of beggars, hypocrites, etc., not a whiff of spirituality. And Bhau said, "This is your Rishikesh." Not Bhau. Baba kept saying to Bhau, "So this is your Rishikesh. This is your Rishikesh." And ultimately, after a few other things, Bhau said, "It's incredibly easy to be spiritual. It's almost impossible to be authentic." And Bhau was definitely one of the most authentic people in the entire universe, for sure. Jai Baba.
Hey, Baba. I'm so glad that came back. Hey, Baba.
Jai Baba.
Mary Marino, we got you now, Ms. Strong. If you would go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yay! Is it okay now?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Oh, Jai Baba.
Hey, Baba.
Oh, I love what you just said, Shiva, about Bauji being authentic. I think he was so incredible in that if Baba had given him the impetus that he should stand on his head naked and do a jig, he would have done it. I mean, it's like nothing he wouldn't do that Baba wanted him to do. And the gentleman before was, Meher Chand was saying about the criticism he received, and he was advised to ignore that criticism. I think Bauji knew that in every cell of his being. He just followed whatever Baba instructed him to. And of course, after Baba dropped the body, it was all internal instruction. That willingness to put himself on the line, no matter what, no matter how it appeared to anyone else, is just incredible. But when I think of Bauji, there are lots of, different incidents for this and that, but the most prevailing thing is the love. And I just got this hit that sort of smacked me upside the head, which was, he did tell me to write, and I haven't done the writing he told me to because I was chicken. And I think before this lifetime is over, I better get off my haunches and do it. If I get any older and forget anymore, it'll be that much harder. In his later years, I had the impression that Bauji knew absolutely everything that was going on. He might not have expressed it always quite right to the normal human mortal. He might have appeared to have, old age dementia or something else. But even if he did, that was at I think, the very human physical level. He seemed to know absolutely everything that was going on, and he knew all our thoughts. There was more than one occasion in which he said to me directly or said to somebody else what I was thinking. I say, oh my God, yes, I was. And in one of those instances, he was nowhere near me when I had been thinking that. It was kind of amazing. He really opened my heart more and more to Baba. I was living on the West. I'm assuming you were looking for people to keep talking because I can shut up at any time. So, okay. I was living on the West Coast I'm a New Yorker, but was on the West Coast in 1985 when he first came to the U.S. It never occurred to me to go to California to see him, but I went back to New York. And that was an interesting connection. And then whenever he would come to the U.S., I had the good fortune of spending a good bit of time with him. And it's like he peeled away layers. He just peeled away layers. I remember one time at Mehernath at a Sahavas, he said, when he was speaking to everyone, that we weren't there to get something. Baba was taking away and taking away. And indeed, he did. One of my most profound memories of him was in that last visit he made to the U.S. He spent 6 weeks at Mehernath. So for 3 consecutive years, he was there for six weeks. And those were incredible times. His team was there. His team, I see, beautiful team I see here. So good to see you. When he became ill, the day he passed out, and then that week he was in the hospital, and then when he came back, his suffering was beyond measure, was beyond understanding. There's no way any of us could have taken it. I mean, we would have died just from the pain. And how he continued and just offered himself over and over to Baba. Those images just stay. And I said this the other day in a remembrance for Bauji. At Mehernath in the afternoon when he would speak to a full house, I'd go and lay down because I was doing all the cooking in the house and I'd be tired. And I am no part. And I would just lay on the bed and hear his voice. I didn't need to hear the words. His voice carried so much love. They were such a soothing and healing balm from Baba. And that's what he always did, was bring us closer and closer to Baba. He helped, he did lots of hammering. He helped knock away the crap and just open those inner doors. So I think at this point I'm repeating myself and maybe I should stop.
You're not repeating yourself, and you can stop whenever you're ready. So beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
You just bring us closer in heart to Baba, to Bhau. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bhau, and thank you. Thank you for doing this. I'm sorry I got the times wrong and was late and missed most of your sharing.
So glad you're here. Jai Baba.
Thank you, Jai Bob.
Alan, if you'd like to unmute.
Oh, can I tell an Alan story before you speak, Alan?
Yes.
I got to tell it. Okay. So one of the times when Bauji came to the U.S., and he had a somewhat of a routine for some years. He'd stop at the Talbot. Joanna and I would pick him up and drive him to Mariposa. So this one time, it was after Bauji had given his talk and the Talbot's home had cleared out. And Bhau came out in his blue pajamas.
Oh,
he was getting ready to go to bed.
Wait,
remember this, Alan? And I remember standing in like the foyer of the Talbot. It was bigger than a foyer. So Bauji comes out at the end of the hall, and Alan is there, and Bhau grabbed him, and he gave him such an intense hug. You could feel it. I mean, you just felt it go through you. And it was a long, intense hug. And then when he released Alan, you turned around like you were completely dazed, and I was standing there, and you hugged me, and I got it. Oh my goodness, I got some of that. You shared that wine. And to me, Alan, you were a different person after that. I saw you change. It was incredible. It was beautiful. So many beautiful times at the Talbot's home. Oh, just so many beautiful times. I see Joanna nodding. Hi, dear Joanna and Janice. Anyway, sorry, Ellen, I had to interrupt you to say that. That was so beautiful.
Am I on now, Ruth? I'm not on. Hello? Am I on? I don't hear me.
I'm sorry, you are. I hear you.
All right, well, I don't hear me. Anyway, you know, that was one of the stories, but from a different angle I was about to tell. You know, Bhauji first came to the US in 1985, and our house was where generally where large talks were had. We were in a different house then, preceding this house. And over the years, we've had perhaps 10,000 people at our house for talks and events and such like that. And a lot of them were for Bhauji. So Bhau knew our family since they were children. Literally, he used to call my daughter Kate, baby, because she was a little baby when he first met her. And I'm sure I knew him in India before that. But one of the stories I want to tell is, in order, I'll get to the pajamas story in a second, was in 1988, Kitty asked me to take my son Matthew, who had just turned 7, to India. And she was pretty intuitive because she felt that he could meet Mera, and you're allowed at 7 to stay at the PC or the MPC. So I took him to India, but also I took a suitcase of video games for the Fenster boys, and who's a little younger than Matthew, and Adim, who's a couple years younger. So Matthew spent a lot of time at the Fenster house. And in those days at Mehernath, there weren't as many trees, so you could see further down the road. You could walk across the road in those days, for you old timers, if you could remember that. Anyway, Matt was there for a while, and one morning, and he would play a lot at the Fensters. One morning after breakfast, I got distracted and I was looking around and he wasn't there. He's 7 years old. You know, I'm kind of responsible for this guy. Who knows where he would be? So I was asking everybody there, and it was pretty busy. It was over Christmas. Did they see Matt? And nobody had seen him. I was getting a little concerned because, you know, my wife had let me take our son to India. So I had to be a little bit responsible for this guy. And just when I was getting to the stage of real concern, I don't hit worry ever, I saw 2 figures in the distance walking from the Ahmednagar angle. And one was taller and one was short, but I couldn't see such a distance. And then as they came closer, they were hand in hand. And then as it came closer, I saw it was Bhau Kalchuri and Matthew Talbot hand in hand. And Bhauji had gone over to the Fenster house, found Matthew there. He had walked down there, obviously by himself, and had been playing video games with the Fenster boys. And when he got there to visit his family, he saw Matt there and he wondered, well, where's your father? And Matt had just kind of blown me off. So he walked Matt back to Lower Mehernath, hand in hand, and delivered him to me. And we thought that was quite funny after I calmed down a little bit. Matt did have the opportunity to meet Mera and have tea with Mera, but that's a whole other story, which I shared another time. Now, as to the pajamas story that Mary Marino Strong preempted me on, man, I've been working on this one for a while, but I'm going to give my angle of this story. Now, Bhauji in 2000 started staying at our house, and he actually stayed in our bedroom, and he slept in our bed. And for years, he didn't know where Karen and I slept, which is a whole other story, which is quite humorous. But in any event, he would bring his helper, and that would be Max Phillips. Freeman would go visit and stay with his parents up in Sonoma County. So our bedroom is at the end of the house. There's 3 bedrooms and then our master bedroom. So everybody went to bed. I mean, Belle went to bed and Max went to bed, and Max's bedroom was the next room over. And it was a few of us at that point at my house. Barbara Brusman was there, Tom Brussman. I remember Louise Barry and Ron and Lisa Greenstein. I didn't know Mary Marino Strong was there. So that adds to the picture. Now, the important part of this story is that for those of you who wondered how in God's name Bhau Kalchuri had such snappy clothes and was such a natty dresser, it was Barbara Brussman, otherwise known as Mother B, who would pay for his clothes. And in fact, we would bring every year when we would go to India, a suitcase for Mehernath and a suitcase for Bhau Kalchuri. So after one day in India, we had 2 empty suitcases. But she had bought him these really lovely blue pajamas. And the blue color is not dark blue and not light blue, but kind of richly in between, with a fold in the front and a fold in the back. So he was ready for any problem, anytime, any day. And this was his first time wearing these pajamas. He looked very, very snappy, I should say. So he walked into his bedroom, waved goodnight, and we were in our TV room, what we call our family room, which is about 30, 40 feet away, quietly talking. And then I heard something down the hall, somebody walking. And I said, hold on to everybody, let me go look. So I walked through the dining room into where the cook room is, in front of the first bedroom, and there was Bhauji standing there. I said, Bhauji, what's wrong? He said, I need more hugs. So I said, hold on now. Now I'm a very mischievous person, I should say. So I went dashing I feigned dashing into the TV room, which is about 2 seconds away. And I said, we have a situation. Everybody's needed. So everybody had this look in their face, all 8 of us, like, what's the problem? You know, they had that. I was trying to build a little bit of drama into the situation. So they all came rushing into the foyer, and they're all standing there. And Bhauji's standing there quietly, and I said, Bhau needs more hugs. So he proceeded, as Mary Marino Strong, and I didn't know she was there, so I liked this part of the story, to give everybody hugs. After a few minutes of hugging everyone, I said, Bhauji, you ready for bed? And he said, yes. And he literally tootled down about the 40 feet of the 3 bedrooms came to the master bedroom where he was staying, turned around and waved to us like a 4-year-old, like saying goodnight to his parents, so to speak, and walked into his bedroom. It was one of those, and in his blue pajamas with the front and the rear available for action any old time, and went into the bedroom. So that's the fuller story of the PJ story. Now, the third story I wanted to tell is a remarkable story. As Mary just described, Bhau stopped coming to the Bay Area in 2006. He stayed at her house many years, and the last one was 2006. And he proceeded to go in 7, he went to Australia, which was shameless, and we had a large discussion about that. But in 8, 9, and 10, he went to Mehernath, which is about, from our house, 2.5 hours away, in the foothills of the Sierras, and stayed there 6 weeks. So Karen and I would go up on Friday and stay till Sunday, and we would bring all kinds of food and goods. We were like a supply chain for the Mehernath crew. And Bhau would give talks, but in the 3rd year, 2010, which was his last year in the United States, he suffered this grievous heart attack and was in the hospital in Fresno for a week. And when he came back, he couldn't give talks in the Pandal, which was down at the base camp, which allowed about 200 people. So he stayed in the house, the caretaker's house above. It's about 100 yards up the hill. Good walk if you like aerobics. And that's where he gave his talks. So here's the story. It was the last day he was going to be at Mehernath, and I don't know if this was the last full day he was ever in the U.S. because I don't know where he went afterwards. And it was Father's Day, 2010, and it was kind of chaotic in the living room where he would give talks, and no talks were given yet. And my job was to sit in front of Bhau and tell him stories and crack jokes to keep him humored. So I would sit about 3-4 feet away, and there'd be about 50 people in the room. And It wasn't that big of a room. It was kind of tight. So I was sitting there and I noticed that a man named Herman Alvarado came into the room. Now, this man had met Baba many times. He was a merchant marine. He'd been a Sufi since the late 40s, early 50s. And you see him in the movies with him and his wife, Elena, in the Baba movies and in Baba pictures. He was a very handsome man. He would die in 2015. He was 95 at the time. So he knew Bao exceedingly well. And Herman's wife, Elena, had died, and we had taken Bao over to their house to say goodbye. She had Alzheimer's, so she really didn't know what was going on. But it was a farewell, and we were happy to do it. And that was in Walnut Creek, California. And I noticed Herman came in, and there was chaos in the room. Nothing was happening. And I was just talking to Bao, and Shiana was sitting next to Bao, and I was talking to Bao and her. And Herman kind of circled around the room. There was a sofa there. And I noticed he had something in his hand. And then as he got closer, I saw it was a picture in the picture frame. And as he got closer, even kind of in front of me to my right, I could see it was a picture of Baba, Herman, and Elena. Now, for those of you who Bao well enough, when he saw somebody or something that he enjoyed, he would go, oh, you know, the oh. Remember that, Mary Marina? Oh. You know, like if someone walked in the room, and if he was really excited, he'd give a double, like that. But this was one of the great moments in Bao history, because he looked up, or maybe I kind of pointed up, and he saw Herman, and they were really old friends, and this would be the last time they would see each other. And Herman was a jewel. I mean, there's no way of describing what a jewel Herman was. And he had the picture show into his body, but then he turned it around and showed Bao, who was standing right next to Bao. And I was the only one watching this, because everybody else was distracted. And I knew them both so well. And then he showed the picture, and Bao gave a triple. Because he was so stunned. It was a picture of Herman, Elena, and Baba. My wife's telling me I have to stop. But I don't want to stop right now. And we had to say goodbye after that. And I've run that by many people about the triple. And he said, and no one has said they ever heard a triple or seen a triple. I just want to say that happened. Now I want to share one personal thing. No, I guess I'm done. Jai Baba. I didn't go for it. Okay. I'm muting myself.
All right. Jai Baba, I'm not going to get in the middle. Mary, did you have something else you wanted to say, Marino? You have to unmute yourself again.
But Alan is gone. I think there was another time that he might have forgotten about the hugging, but it's okay. It's not a big deal. I think his story was good.
All right. And then thank you so much, Jai Baba. John Dennison? Are you there to unmute? I'm trying to find you here. All right, let's see, I think, hold on, I'm sorry. Sorry for the delay. It's hard to find people if their names aren't just easy to locate. Well, I'm having trouble finding John Dennison's name. Acha Shiva? I'm sorry, do you want to unmute? I just muted you by mistake.
Just very quickly, that Bao was always on the cutting edge of technology, and he was the first person in Meherabad or Meherazad to have email that Eric Nadel set up for him. And you know how dedicated Bao was. He answered each and every email personally. Well, in the early days, he would get quite a few emails that would say, enhance your male potency. Or some other variant thereof. And Bao would very, very dutifully answer them, saying that, no, thank you. I'm a lover of Mayor Baba. I don't need my male potency increased. But anyway, eventually we convinced him that he did not have to reply to these emails. But it's a shame that we didn't have Zoom in the days of the chats. He would have taken to it like a duck to water, for sure. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, thank you. All right, now let's see. Oh, this person is just so elusive. I'm trying so hard to find. Anita Med, I had you. Where did you go? You may have signed out. All right, well, I'll keep searching. In the meantime, Janice, did you have something you wanted to share? You need to unmute yourself, dear.
Yourself, Jan.
Only I was trying to help you find Swamiji as Anita. Oh, mute again. Sorry.
No, it's okay. So Swamiji, I don't know where they are. I just had them and then they disappeared again from my screen. So I'm still looking.
Yeah.
Okay. In the meantime, Michelle, would you like to share something?
Yeah, so Jai Baba, Bhau would come to Chicago often, and I mean every year. And one time he was talking and there was the entertainment time. And Mark Palmer had brought this radio show that was created by Kim and come on. Bloom. I think Richie Bloom. Anyway, and those of you who knew Mark Palmer, he called him Parmesan, he called him the ice cream man and all these different things. So anyway, there was a woman on this radio interview mispronouncing Bau's name, and they would take little messages from Bau's talks and put them in inappropriate places, like just go naked. And it was just so hilarious. And there was Bau sitting there dying, crying from laughter. And it was such a joyful, joyful moment for all of us, because it was like so much like our family, so natural. And like there were no barriers between us and him. And it was just so beautiful. And then I want to mention another time. So we live in the city of Chicago. We have a corner grocery store, building, whatever. That's what our building. And we have a porches. There's lots of porches off the back of houses. Well, he was in the backyard talking. And so all the neighbors could hear. And
there was about 80 people there.
There was 80 people in my backyard. And then I don't know if it was Meher Kam or Sachi Danan, but the whole place, the neighborhood was rocking and hearing this crazy music coming from those Schaefers. What goes on there? And yeah, and it was just a really, Bauji, how he was, and our little boy, who is not little anymore, you might have seen his big hair walking. Bauji would say, he is so happy, anyway. Yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say. But Marvin, I think, has, oh yes, and Not This Body, that song would not exist without Bauji coming to Chicago, telling us about the day that Baba dropped the body. Remember this, I'm not this body. So anyway, Jai Baba, and here's Marvin.
Boy, my story with Bhau was I had never met him before. I went to India and was on a very blissful honeymoon vacation. I had just recently, like 3 months earlier, heard about Baba, and things very quickly changed in my life. And so I was able to go to India and try to experience the Mandalay firsthand. So anyhow, I can't tell you about the flight there, but it was an incredible time for me. And it was such an affirming life experience. When I got into Meherabad, Meherabad, I was told that I had to check into the chairman's office. And on the way there, I lost my suitcase with all of my personal items, all my clothes, my shaver, underwear, everything. But one suitcase did make it through, and that was the suitcase that had medical supplies that I just by chance threw into the suitcase, thinking that somehow someone in India would need them. And
You're a sculptor, that's why.
right, I'm a sculptor, and someone had given me these plastic sheets that were actually used for making a cast of somebody for someone's arm if they had broken a bone or something like that in their wrist. So, and there were lots of other medical supplies. So anyhow, so I'm sitting in the office waiting for Chairman Bhau, and they ushered me in, and I'm sitting there and we're talking, and we hadn't talked for more than 2 seconds when all of a sudden the doctors came in. I don't remember who it was, but there were 3 of them, and they were very excited. And they said, "Bauji, your supplies finally came, and
They ordered.
that you ordered, and we're going to have to use them." And I'm sitting there, and of course I was quiet and watching all this, and he pulls out this bag that I had in my suitcase of the plastic sheets that were used for a cast, and he started to look at them and said, "But there were no instructions on how to use them." And I said, "Oh, it's very simple. You just take them and you put them in boiling water, and then you form it to the person's wrist." And Bao looks at me and he says, "How do you know that?" And I said, "Because I brought the supplies." And he said, "Oh." Yes, he said, "Oh." And I said, "Yeah, I brought them in my suitcase." And he said, and the doctor said, "But we ordered them from another source." And I said, "Well, that's the way you use them, is you put them in boiling water, and then you wrap a towel around the patient's arm, and then you form it to the arm."
Talk about when you used to massage Bao when he would come.
Well, I massaged him many, many times. I don't know how many times. It was always a very, very personal thing. It was extremely taxing, because there was just he had so much pain from everyone leaving their faults and their impressions, and I was trying to massage him and be objective and not take on the pain myself, and yet help him to alleviate it. I don't know. I never talked with him during the massages. It was all silent. Anyhow, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Thank you, Marvin.
Yeah, and cooking with Janice. So fun. Cleaning doll. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. John Dennison?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So my wife Anita and I were on the first committee to bring Bhau to the Mayor's Spiritual Center. And every time Bhau came afterwards, we were on the committee. So we got to spend a lot of time with him. And something that was very touching to me was that Bhau would ask to see those in the community that were outcasts, that were seriously ill, or that were mentally ill. So
he'd make house calls.
He would make house calls. He would see these people, and that was one of the most genuinely touching things that I witnessed, and that should be mentioned, I feel, because we got to witness what Bhau did with these people. His kindness, his love, his consideration
To people who couldn't make it.
to people who couldn't make it to the spiritual center. It was one of his missions each year, and he did it in a very sort of private way, without others knowing about it. So, do you have anything to say about that, Anita?
I think you said that. Very
Yeah.
well, Karen.
The only other thing that I had forgotten about was that one time I said to Bhau, I said, you know, "You Alone Exist" is so sublime, and yet it's never read out publicly. And Bhau didn't miss a beat. He said, "Swamiji, you must read it out loud publicly." And so that night, I think it was the first time was at the spiritual center. There was
Mayorson.
Yeah, at the Mayor Center, there was a dooney, and Bhau had me read it out
In full.
in full, in full force. And then later that summer, or later in the summer, this was in May when he, no, I guess it was in July that he came. Anyway, later that summer, we were in Washington, D.C., and at Pamela Stone's home, I think there was about 200 people there. It was the full contingent of Sufis and about 50 Baba lovers.
Maybe more Baba.
Maybe more Baba lovers. A huge crowd in the backyard. I remember I could hear the crickets, and I was able to read it out without amplification. And I remember how happy Bauji was. He said, "Yes, Swamiji, this should be read out publicly." So just for what it's worth, I'm saying that. Of course, Jim Meyer has done the superb rendition of "You Alone Exist," which the video of that is sublime.
Really is.
Yeah. Anyway, much more I could say, but I think that's it for now. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Jai Baba, thank you for your patience. I'm sorry that we didn't get to you sooner.
No problem at all.
And Fred has a song for us.
Yes. Also, I got a memory. When Bauji would come to Los Angeles, I was on the Sahaba's planning committee, and it was just amazing how he caused an electricity to flow through our group. The itineraries, the teas at people's houses, people baking goods and bringing chai, and it just was electric. And I remember Baba would always say, like when he saw Baba, he was shining, and Bauji was sort of like a shining planet to us and coming to us. And in 2010, leaving Los Angeles International Airport, It was 6:30 a.m. in the morning, and about 30 Baba lovers were gathering to say farewell to Bauji. And I was there amongst them. And then Bauji turned to me and says, "Oh, mind, stupid mind, sing your song." I says, "Right here in the lobby of the airport on the way to the departure area where you have to go up this escalator?" He says, "Yes, sing it." So I sang the song. Now mind, he always want to crow, work so fast while the heart works slow. Baba says that mind must go, so we sing Manonaj Calypso. And the tune go, mind, stupid mind, why don't you go away and leave me behind? Mind, let me be so I can find reality. Now mind just loves duality, tells me God is illusory. Mind, you are my enemy. You just want me to want me. Mind, who do you think you are? You make what's near seem oh so far. Wait till I get you to Ahmed Nagar. We'll fix you with the avatar. Mind, stupid mind. Oh, why don't you go away and leave me behind? Mind, why don't you let me be so I can find reality? Now, mind, you're such a pesky creature. Sometimes you're just too hard to feature. First you're a beggar and then a preacher. And now you even want to be a spiritual teacher. Oh, my mind, I've known you oh so long. Send you back where you belong. Everything you do comes out wrong. So let us sing the chorus of the song. Mind, stupid mind, why don't you go away and leave me behind? Mind, why don't you let me be so I can find reality? Now, mind, have you ever heard of Haya? That's the Sufi term for modesty. Oh no, you're just too full of Maya, burning like a forest fire all day long with desire. Mind, you think you're in the driver's seat, think you're something that can't be beat. Remind me of a parakeet, all day long go tweet, tweet, tweet. Mind, stupid mind, why don't you go away and leave me behind? Mind, why don't you let me be so I can find reality? Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, I'm so grateful that we record these things. So now we got you, Fred. That was just so beautiful. Thank you. And I see Sally and Prakash.
Jai
Jai
Baba.
Baba.
Jai Baba all.
Jai Baba all. Would like to share something about our contact and our meetings with Bhauji. Of all the Mandali members, we've seen, of course, Erich and Merwan, his brother, and Bhauji when he came to the United States. Don't exactly recall the year. I believe it was 2004 or 2005. Not sure. He had come to the Ludwig's residence, Jean and Phil Ludwig, and we had a gathering there. So our kids were very little at that time, and we drove down from Randolph to Saraville. That's where they were in New Jersey, Phil and Jean. And everybody was in the backyard on their deck. And we reached there a little late. Lunch was over. So when we got there, it was so sweet. Bhauji, he saw us from a distance from the deck, and he came down all the way, came down the steps, walked across the backyard, and he almost came to where our car was parked on the street to just greet us, gave us a hug, and it was so very sweet. Yeah, and it was really very touching. And I also have this picture that I want to share. This was our first trip to Myrtle Beach in 2006 summer for the kids and myself. My husband had been there before, but it was 1996, not 2006, 1996. And Bhauji was visiting at that time. And this is my older son, Harsha and Sandeep. The moment my younger son, Sandeep, he saw Bhauji, he just grabbed his legs, gave him a bear hug, just grabbed his, I don't know what the connection was. It was so very sweet. And Bhauji likewise just picked him up, even though he had trouble breathing and walking. He wasn't, it was tough for him to pick up this child and walk, but my son wouldn't let him go. I mean, he never saw him before. I don't know what kind of connection he felt, but we were all very surprised and amazed that this was going on. But it was a great trip, and we loved our visit to this at the center and spending time with Bauji. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba Sally, thank you. It's so good to see you. Now, VJ, I don't know, you had your hand up before. I don't know if you still want to share something.
Jai Baba, of course, if there is time, it was really coincidence when Bhau first came to Baba in 1953 and he met him at Nagpur. I also was there same time. Then Bhau came to our house when I was 4-year-old. So when next time at Guru Prasad, when I was 18, after Baba dropped his body, I happened to be there. And I was talking to some Mandali. And that time Bhau was inside the toilet. So when I was leaving, he just came out and just called me hurriedly. Listen, listen, listen. You're Sulu's son. Oh, you have grown so big. You were only 4-year-old. So that was my first encounter. And then later on, I used to sing for him ghazals when he was in the hospital and at Sheila's house. He loved ghazals, and that was really wonderful. When Shiva was there also at Jahangir Hospital, I sang a ghazal. In Chicago in 1986, when he was visiting there, and he asked me to cook mutton for him. I say, if mutton is not good, I'm going to chop off your head. But it was good. He liked it. And I played tabla there for him. And actually, he was telling there, I remember that instance. So when he was at the airport, somewhere in Europe, and he at the airport through the glasses, he was walking and he was looking at the beautiful scenery, and then his head got bumped. So he was giving us that message. See, I was admiring the beautiful scenery, and Baba gave me the bump. He said, well, I am more beautiful. So, and of course, Bhau came late, like early 50s, and I was close to Mr. Pankhraj. So I'm sure there were many Mandali people. They were kind of, must be, that is a spiritual jealousy, because Bhau got close access to Baba, even though he came late, but Baba liked him. And he was from the royal family, and he gave up everything. And then Baba took care of his entire family. So that was wonderful. And when I got married in 1987, so first we came to Meherabad, and I introduced my wife Anita to Bhau. She has also 13 January, same birth date. And so Bhau told her, yes, report to me if anything he behaves rude to you. So that was kind of father elderly love I got from him. And he's always there. And coincidentally, it was Mehernath's also birthday. Same day, Bhau gone and Mehernath's birthday is also there. So he's always there in our hearts. And wonderful John, his secretary, John, I don't know last name, I'm forgetting. So beautiful ghazal he used to sing, and I learned ghazals from him. And how he used to admire ghazals. By the way, thank you, Fred, for that Manonash Calypso. And that is always, I remember when during early days, when Amar Tithi used to happen at a small stage, and Fred Stankus gave that powerful presentation of Manonash Calypso. I can never forget. Mind, monkey mind. Yeah. So beautiful memory. Yeah. Thank you. Time is short, so I will say Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Thank you, Vijay. I think probably the last we have here are Jamie. I see Jamie and Zoe are here. So if you would go ahead and unmute your, yeah, there you go. Jamie?
Yes, hi. I don't know what to do. Karen had asked me to sing a song. Should I do that?
Absolutely. We'll
Okay.
make that.
Well, we used to, thanks to Zoe, my wife's encouragement, and sorry we're late. I'd completely forgot this was going on, and I've been doing other things, but I guess Alan emailed me, thankfully. But thanks to Zoe, we used to do the chats in the morning, and Bhau used to ask me to sing, and particularly Sheila always wanted me to sing this, so I sang this many times for Bhau, and it was a little strange because they would sing along, and on the Zoom from India it would come late, and so I'd get very confused. But this song also, Bhau had an influence in the writing of this song. I wrote it in 1985. It's called Ustad Tanyavad, and I learned the word Ustad from one of Bhau's talks, where he says, Baba said, "How can you question me? I am Ustad." And then Bhau said, Ustad means master. So I knew one word in Hindi, and then I learned Dhanyavad, which means thank you. So this is thank you, Master Ustad Dhanyavad. Ustad Dhanyavad, 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 Ustad Dhanyavad. Oh Meher, Dhanyavad Meher, Dhanyavad Meher, Dhanyavad Meher. Oh Meher, Dhanyavad Meher, Dhanyavad Meher, Dhanyavad Meher. Uramas Dhanyavad, Uramas Dhanyavad, Uramas Dhanyavad, Uramas Dhanyavad. Zartosh Dhanyavad, Zartosh Dhanyavad, Zartosh Dhanyavad, Zartosh Dhanyavad. Oh Meher, Dhanyavad Meher, Dhanyavad Meher, Dhanyavad Meher. Oh Meher, Dhanyavad Meher, Dhanyavad Meher, Dhanyavad Meher. Lord Ram Dhanyavad, Lord Ram Dhanyavad, Lord Ram Dhanyavad, Lord Ram Dhanyavad. Krishna Dhanyavad, Krishna Dhanyavad, Krishna Dhanyavad, Krishna Dhanyavad. Oh Meher, Dhanyavad Meher, Dhanyavad Meher, Dhanyavad Meher. Oh Meher, Dhanyavad Meher, Dhanyavad Meher, Dhanyavad Meher. Buddha Dhanyavad, Buddha Dhanyavad, Buddha Dhanyavad, Buddha Dhanyavad, Jesus Dhanyavad, Jesus Dhanyavad, Jesus Dhanyavad, Jesus Dhanyavad. Oh Meher, Dhanyavad Meher, Dhanyavad Meher, Dhanyavad Meher. Oh Meher, Dhanyavad Meher, Dhanyavad Meher, Dhanyavad Meher. Muhammad Dhanyavad, Muhammad Dhanyavad, Muhammad Dhanyavad, Muhammad Dhanyavad, Allah Dhanyavad, Allah Dhanyavad, Allah Dhanyavad, Allah Dhanyavad. Oh Meher, Dhanyavad Meher, Dhanyavad Meher, Dhanyavad Meher. Oh Meher, Dhanyavad Meher, Dhanyavad Meher, Dhanyavad Meher. Ustad Dhanyavad, 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 Ustad Dhanyavad. Oh Meher, Dhanyavad Meher, Dhanyavad Meher, Dhanyavad Meher. Oh Meher, Dhanyavad Meher, Dhanyavad Meher, Dhanyavad Meher. Jai Baba. Zoe may also want to sing. I don't know if she knows how to put her hands up, but she may want to do a song.
I was just going to ask her. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you, Ruth. Jai Baba.
Hey, Baba. So, are you there? Just need to unmute. Let me see. I might have to find you here. Wait a minute. There you are. Sorry. There you go. See if you can unmute now. So. Yeah, I've lost Zoe. Maybe she'll come into James' area. We'll give him a second.
Can you hear anything now?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Okay,
Great. Thanks, Jay Bob.
sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to sing one Ram bhajan that I used to sing a lot on the chats and that Bhauji and Rama liked. And the words say, having repeated that name, Ram, I lost my mind. Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba. I write this name in my notebooks. I repeat it with my tongue, Meher Baba, Meher Baba. And some people may bring lights and do puja, but I bring my love to my Lord. So it's a Ram bhajan that I reworked as a Meher Baba song. Japa kar yahi nama man bhavare. Japa kar yahi nama man bhavare. Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher, Meher. Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher Baba, Meher, Meher. देखो थकती में बाबा पार होती में मेहर देखो थकती में बाबा पार होती में बोलो जीवा से मेहर 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 बोलो जीवा से मेहर 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 बाबा मेहर बाबा मेहर बाबा मेहर 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 बाबा मेहर बाबा मेहर बाबा मेहर मेहर कोई दीपक जलाई कोई पूजा करे कोई दीपक जलाई कोई पूजा करे मैं तो आई हूँ मेरे प्रभु भक्ति मैं तो आई हूँ मेरे प्रभु भक्ति लिए मेहर बाबा मेहर बाबा मेहर बाबा मेहर 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 बाबा मेहर बाबा मेहर बाबा मेहर 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 बाबा मेहर बाबा मेहर बाबा मेहर मेहर अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय.
Exquisite. That was so beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Baba.
And they would encourage me. They liked it that I had picked up a little Hindi, and they would listen and they'd say, "Oh, that's very good. No, but just meh." I'd say meh. They'd say no, meh. But they were very sweet and very patient.
Is there any story that you'd like to share as well? I don't know if you're.
Well, aren't we we must be about out of time, no?
No, we have until 2:00. Betty Lohman, thank you, Betty. Remind
Oh,
we do have time.
oh, okay. Well, one story is that Bauji had sent us a message through the chat saying, "When are you going to come? I haven't seen you for years." And we had both been in grad school and not in a position to travel. But finally I realized I've now graduated. Jamie can't go this summer, but if I want to see Bhau again, I can lose no time. I just really need to get there. And we realized we had a tax return. We had enough money to cover one trip, without any debt or anything. So I booked my ticket and went. And I realized he was very ill. He was actually in the hospital when I got there. And it seemed possible he might be dead or unable to see anyone. I just didn't know. But I really felt I really wanted to go. So when I got there, he was in the hospital, but he was able to see me. And one thing that kind of got me in was I went by the trust and I saw Rama. And because I sing in Hindi, she thinks that I speak Hindi a whole lot better than I do. But anyway, so she greeted me and I said, I have to go to the bazaar. Is there anything you need? Can I do anything for you? And she said, yeah. And she started giving me this long list and I didn't really understand. So we went in and Raj translated. So I wound up, in the end, I went to Big Bazaar with Mehernath. And what she was trying to tell me was she needed vacuum, some particular kind of cleaning supplies. And she also wanted colostomy bags. I had no idea what that, anyway, we went, Mehernath and I, and pushed our cart through Big Bazaar and got all this stuff. And he was saying, what brand should we get? And I was like, I don't know. You know, she's your mother. And I mean, I've never been to Big Bazaar before. So it was funny. But because we had just gone and I had bought all this stuff, so he took me to the hospital so we could deliver this. And that was my kind of in for my first visit to see Bauji. And I think maybe at that point, I don't know, I was able to see him 3 or 4 times on this short visit. And I sang for him in the hospital. But when I got to his bed, I said, Bauji, I've come. And he just looked at me and he gave this deep sigh and closed his eyes. He went, like, finally. So I felt, I can't even tell you what I felt, but I was so happy that I had been able to come and see him. And so it was sort of like fulfilling a promise almost that was implicit. So that was, and I stayed for about 2.5 weeks and saw him several times and then came home and he joined Baba a couple of weeks later. It was not long. So that window was very important. Yeah. I have one other thing that I thought of when someone was talking about their child being really drawn to Bhau. I remembered that when Jamie's nephews were very little, somehow it turned out that their mother took them to see Bauji. He was in Massachusetts. We weren't even around for this, but this one nephew loved Bhau, just fell in love with him to the extent that he named his stuffed monkey Bhau. And when we told Bhau that, he was very happy. So that's all I have. Yeah, thanks for letting me speak. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. So many, very beautiful. Thank you. Betty Lohman, do you want to go ahead?
Sure. Okay. This is just fabulous. I mean, he was so available to everybody that we've all got stories. It just brings it all back, doesn't it? Well, and I told all of these stories recently, so I'm just retelling, but what the heck. Well, Ruth, first of all, if you can make me a co-host, there's a funny picture of Bauji that I'd like to share. Is that possible? I don't know. I'll
Yes,
just speak.
I'm just co-host as well, so I don't have.
Okay, all righty. Which one? Our connection with Bauji was really Mehernath, and one thing I wanted to say about him was he was the energy behind. I mean, of course it was Baba, but he made it happen. He was so invested in Mehernath. He so wanted it to go. He was such a supporter.
in those early days. And anybody who was involved, Mary or the Joanna, the team, will attest with Shiva. It was so important to him that Mehernath would go, and it seems like it's going. It's and Dave, my husband, who was tractor daddy there, we were the Lomans, and when he I don't know, early on he said, not Lomans, lemons, you are the lemons, you are lemon mummy, and and Dave was lemon tractor daddy. So I'll go back to our family trip to Meherabad was in 1987. It's kind of a first, and that was we were having a hard time. Dave had a neck injury and had been out of work for a couple of years. Wasn't yet tractor daddy, and Baba was more my thing than his, I would say, at that time. Yeah, I'll email you the picture, Ruth. So he was uncomfortable when the men and the women were apart, and this was kind of new to him, and he wasn't, he was uncomfortable, and to the point where he said to me, I want you to tell Bauer I want a divorce. And I thought to myself, great, I'll go tell him, good, and this will be permission. So anyway, I go to Bhau, who was at that time pretty inconspicuous. He was not particularly in demand. He hadn't started his trips to the West, so he was really available, and loved to sit and talk to folks, and welcomed such situations as ours. So I told him, I said, Bhau, David says he wants a divorce, and he said it's not. We were sitting at the PC, I remember, outside on the porch, the old PC, and he said, well, what do you want? And I would have loved to say, you bet, that's exactly what I want, but I didn't say. I said, I want what Baba wants. And of course, that was the answer. And he just kind of nodded. But every time he saw us together, it was lemon mummy and lemon daddy. I want lots of hugs and kisses. Lemon mummy and lemon, every time. And we could not see him without him hugging both of us and clearly impressing on us the fact that we were to stay together. So we really have Bhau to thank, and so many real he put a great deal of energy into our family, and I didn't appreciate that. I didn't really understand how much he was giving us. So that so fast forward, we at Mehernath. At Mehernath, I was the child care lady, and I'm sure he was encouraging. I was always lemon mommy. It meant I had a hard time staying awake in Bau's talks. I don't know if anybody. The thought of sitting through a long talk was really hard for me. So I was always happy to, this is a confession, I was always happy to say, oh, Bhau, it's time for me to go now. I have to work with the children. And that was okay. I could go and work with the kids. And that was always like, I have something to do. I was too restless to sit through a long talk. So anyway, but I realized now what he was giving at those times. Okay, this is a completely different incident now, and it's really more Jean and Jim Wilson's incident than mine. They had Bhau at Sahabas up in Oregon for several years. Mary, or Joanna could probably tell how many. And there was one big year, it was 93, when we had just had an earthquake in Oregon, in Portland. So Janice wrote a song, "Wake Up, Portland, Wake Up." That was her song for the occasion. And so anyway, we had our sahavas with Bauji, and Bauji, before it started, they were looking around for a place to have Duni, and they asked Bhau, where shall Duni be? And so they walk him around, and he finds it's a dry pond bed. It had been a dry pond bed for several years, and he said, "Here," and he put a stick right in the middle of the pond bed. So, okay, that's where we had Duni. Dave and I always came up to Sahavas at Baba House. That's what we called their place. It was the best. And so the occasion passed. Sahavas was wonderful. And then Bhau went on, and Jim and Jean were walking around the property, just sort of, as they said, basking in the vibes of this wonderful, occasion. And Jim says, I wish it was them telling the story, but Jim says to Jean, come here, look. And there was a trickle of water into the pond. And that pond has been full pretty much ever since. Now, maybe it was the earthquake. I don't know. I don't want to get too woo-woo, but that's the truth of it. The pond has always had water in it ever since. So, okay, I'm going to share a picture. This was a very early Mehernath gathering. We used to gather at Chris and Christy Pearson's home up in Mariposa before we even had the property at Mehernath. And so this is Bauji with Magician Huey at the home of the Pearsons. I thought you'd enjoy that. So anyway, that's my story. Jai Baba. Okay. Next.
Thank you, Betty. It was great. Jai Baba. Elizabeth, you want to go ahead and unmute yourself?
Yes. So I probably heard about Baba from a quote crazy friend of mine, because I thought Baba was crazy for a while, around 78. And then somehow I met Adi K. Irani, who came to speak at American University. And then eventually, somehow between 1983 and 85, and it really happened in 85, I got captured. And all of these things that had been happening came kind of as a feeling all at once, where looking at a picture of Baba, I just burst into tears and thought I was feeling so bad that I hadn't met him. I mean, like really sobbing. And I heard this internal voice that said, "I am with you always." And of course, that is at Maribod on that big tower. That's one of the things that stuck out to me. But anyway, so I saw Bhau originally in Washington, D.C. at the then home of Dan and Pamela Butler Stone. And I'm not sure if I saw him in 85 or not, but it was my habit to go to the center when I lived in Washington, D.C. and later when I moved back to North Carolina, to go to the center always when Bhau was there. And I remember so well the gatherings that we used to have with Anita and her husband pulling together with Laika and a whole bunch of other people who were always there when Bauji was there. And I always went to all of his talks and usually sat up right in the front for everyone that I could. And they were in the mornings and in the afternoons. And it is true, when you listen to, at least for me, I had to be careful not to fall asleep. And I always felt that he was doing that Baba was doing something spiritually when you drifted off into this this world that was kind of, I mean, neither here nor there. But and I'll never forget one particular day, and I don't remember any of the specifics, but we had been invited to a lunch, some of the people at the center with Bauji, and it was at the farmhouse. And I don't know if you guys know that, but it's really big, has a gigantic porch. We had 20 or 30 people, and it was just so much fun and laughing, and so many different people, and of course Bauji. So when Anita and her husband were talking, I automatically thought back to that particular gathering. But the other thing that happened, and Bal had a name for me. He had names for lots of people, but he called me Dr. Sister. So I was originally Dr. Sister number 2, because there was another number 1. And something happened to that number 1. So a few years later, I became Dr. Sister number 1. Anyway, and he always called me that, you know, hello, my Dr. Sister. And in Washington, D.C., which was before 1992, which was before I went to Texas for 10 years, which is basically a Baba desert. There are not many Baba people that I knew of there, although I had heard of, I think the Pearsons were there at that time, and then they moved away. And I also had a communication with Darwin Shaw's daughter during that time for a period of time. But anyway, in Washington, D.C., Bal came with John Connor, and the 3 of us got together, and Bauji started saying the Hindi words to Gate Chalo. And John would sing the melody. And during this period of time, and it was only an hour or an hour and a half at most, I transliterated it into the English that's now the English that's used. And anyway, eventually I mailed it back to Bauji. And eventually one word was changed. So I had written, I think, true self, and I was told it had to be changed to false self. So it's now false self, I think, in the 3rd verse. But in any case, when I would come to the center, I would have my guitar with me and usually hang out with people who were playing guitars and play along. But every time that Bauji was there and I was there, he would always ask me to sing Gate Chalo. So that was always a lot of fun. It was with a bunch of other people on stage, and very upbeat and a lot of energy. And anyway, so I always loved those times at the center when I would go and stay as long as I could to see him. And the last time I saw him, I had a job at that time that was very demanding, and I couldn't get away, and it was just really breaking my heart. And it actually literally did, because after that, I had a heart issue after I came back. And it was because I was torn between my work and going there. And the last thing, now I'm gonna cry, that Bauji said to me, he said, why didn't you come? And I said I couldn't. And he had not been using my name that trip, and his mind was not as good. And I thought he had forgotten me. And I said, am I still your Dr. Sister? And he took my head, and he rubbed my chin like this. And he said, you will always be my Dr. Sister. Anyway, those were his last words to me. So anyway, Che Baba.
Thank you so much for sharing. Elizabeth, that was beautiful. I'm just seeing Jonathan Burrows. I think Jonathan might be gone. Yeah, I don't see him. Jeff, I see Jeff is here. Do you have anything you'd like to share, Jeff? Well, he's walking around. I don't think he sees himself as unmute there. Jeff, can you unmute?
Yeah, just I've only got like a small amount of time on my thing, so I've got to get a cord, and then I'll come back.
Okay, it's a deal. All right, I'm looking if there's anybody new that hasn't shared that would like to share. We have a few repeaters, but I just wonder if there's anybody who's, I see fingers up, here we go. All right, can you unmute yourself?
Can you hear me?
Yes, Jai Baba.
Hello, I'm Cherry from the San Francisco South Bay group, so I know Betty and Huey. And I have sort of two stories. One, I only had one personal interaction with Bhau. The other was indirect but profound for me. The one personal one is when our South Bay group went to sing at one of the events that Bhau attended. We sang Always Wrong with great gusto. Afterwards, I think it may have been one of the earlier times that I had been to a Bhau event somewhere in the East Bay with Winifred. I forgot her last name. Anyway, afterwards, we were all standing in a group when it was time to go, and Huey or somebody introduced me to Bhau, and I expected a nod and hi, how are you? Instead, Bhau turned to me and he either grabbed my cheeks or he did this to my face with a big smile and said, always wrong. For a long time, that bothered me, that was my only interaction with Bhau. But I thought it was really, really fitting, defined a lot. My other interaction, well, it wasn't an interaction, it was rather indirect. I used to go up to Mehernath a lot. And I used to go to his talks at the Talbots and East West bookstore. And I was warned, I think Betty often warned me that I could end up falling asleep, but I never did. I was totally entranced by Bhau's talks. Listened to every word. I don't remember them now, but yeah. One of the times up at Mehernath was somewhere in the 2000s, and one of the areas of interest in my life has been politics. And I think I can be a bit obnoxious politically. I've gotten into some pretty obnoxious arguments with people over it. And there was a lot of concern during those years, more so now, who knew? But I'll never forget, when you at Mehernath, you go to breakfast and you sit at the long tables, and I always like to get to know new people and chat. And I don't remember who this was. I think it was someone from LA, but he talked about his interview with Bhau. It was one of the weekends Bhau was giving his talks. And he said that he was just very down about what was happening in America politically. A lot of us were. So my ears perked up. I listened intently. And he said that he asked Bhau about the politics and how awful it was and what should we do? How should we be responding? So I was really interested in Bhau's response. Bhau's response was, if you are in a prison, you are in a cell in a prison, do you want to clean up the prison or do you want to get out? And I thought, oh, I felt like that was a direct message to myself as well. And I think about that often when I get carried away and think about politics. I remember that to try and get myself back into balance. because I can get carried away, right, Betty? So those are just my two stories, my interactions with Val. Thank you. I'll mute now.
All right, thank you. Jonathan, would you like to share something? I see fingers. Hi.
Okay, you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good. I have two things. One was when, I'm not sure when year it was, but I was doing the videoing at the center, and it became important to me to video all of Bau's chats in the barn and of course in meeting place. And I always took, being somewhat intellectual, and Bau with all his degrees and, you know, a very intelligent man. But when he told the stories, or when people asked questions, everything was designed to short circuit people's intellects and make them go to their heart. And I never tired of hearing, you know, the way he told the stories, and so that was one aspect. And then the other aspect was when John Dennison, I'm not sure what year it was, 2006 or 7, when we did the first boxing match with John fought Bauji, and it was a skit at the center. And it was done on a Saturday, and Bau was leaving first thing on Monday. And so I had made a recording of the play, and Bau wanted a copy of the play. And he also, Anita had taken some pictures about that, none of them had come out. They were like double exposures and all this stuff. So anyway, but he wanted them to be part of the video. And so on Sunday, I mean, that Saturday and Sunday, I managed to edit and put together this video and deliver it to Bau. And Bau showed that boxing match video, you know, all over the world as he was touring around. He got a big kick out of it. And it was just such an experience to be, you know, to just have that happen spontaneously, whatever you want to call it. But the biggest thing, as I getting back to Bau, and that was his humor, and, you know, basically short-circuiting the intellect and just being free in Baba's love. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, thank you so much. So well put. Now, Fred, did you have a story?
Yes, this is the LA Sahabas up at Pilgrim Pines. And we had a program, a musical program, then a little stage play. Jeff McGuire wrote this script. I was to come out, I'm Ed McMaya, just like the Johnny Carson show. However, Jeff says, Ed McMaya is going to challenge Bauji to a boxing match. So I came out with my tank top on, boxing gloves on, all puffed up to Bau. They put boxing gloves on Bauji. And so Jeff says, of course, when Bau swings at you, faint like you're hit, and eventually, you know, go down. And so what happens, I take a swing at Bau, and of course I miss, and then Bau swings and he misses, but I go back with the wind. And then he swings again and it knocks me down. And I'll tell you, to this day, I felt an energy in that swish just on stage. And so I go down on all fours and I'm counted out, and Bauji's hand is raised, the victor. And I'll never forget that at Pilgrim Pines. And those were great times with the Bobby Madonna show when Bauji was there. And also, he would always call my wife Gigi of Sikori, because the administrator at Upasni Maharaja's ashram was named Gigi. So when he saw Gigi coming, he'd say, oh, there's Gigi of Sikori. Anyway, I had to get that in for her. Jai Baba.
Very wise choice. Thank you, Fred. All right, Jeff Wolverton, where did you go? There you are. You want to go ahead and unmute?
I couldn't even begin to. I'll get going here somehow.
Do you want me?
Okay, I think I can do it.
Okay.
Just speaking to what Fred and Jonathan were just saying, I used to marvel at, if you imagine that you would do these kind of crazy boxing match skits with Matthew or Peter or Mark or Luke. I mean, the way Christianity has kind of framed these disciples, who would have ever thought you could have, Bhau being, like psychoanalyzed on a stage, with I mean, it was just incredible that it's not anything like what we thought, it would be to be around the disciples of the Christ, But my time with Bhau went back to when I would go to Mehernath in the early years, and around tea time, this guy would emerge, this kind of youngish guy compared to the rest of the Mandali, out of one of the side rooms, and I would be kind of standing there, and we would kind of stand side by side. I didn't know who he was, but he'd always have these stories to share about Baba. And it took it took a good while before I actually knew that this was one of the Mandali. He was in there writing Lord Meher, and he was coming out, sharing these stories. And, that was my first association with Bhau. And, but one of the things, I'll just say a couple of things. I mean, he figures so intimately in my life with Bob. But one time I was massaging Bhau in one of the back rooms at the trust compound, and I had him in my own clutches. He couldn't get away. He was face down on one of the cots, and so he would have to answer any question I asked him. And I said to Bhau, I'm going to quote to you a famous Sufi line, and I wanted to find out whether it was true for you in the Mandali. The line is, suffering is he, happiness is from him. It's actually by Mansour Halaj. Suffering is he, happiness is from him. Would you say that was true for you in the Mandali? And he was, he was face down, very, very kind of poignantly, he said, we were only aware of his suffering, year in and year out. Day by day, second to second, we were only aware of his suffering. But if someone came to Mehernath, they got the happiness from him. Also, one last little story. He was in the hospital in Pune. He was very sick and close to dying. He was, and I was leaving India to return, from the end of my pilgrimage, and I went to the hospital. I don't know if I got into the ICU or what, but he looked like this was the end of his life. And this would be probably the last time I would ever see Bhau after an association of whatever, 40 years or whatever. And I went over to him, and he was lying on his back, and it looked like, and I was just like now, kind of. I was overcome. This might be the last time I would say goodbye to him. And I leaned over to him and I said, Bao, I have to go back. I'm going back to back to the center. And he looked up at me in such suffering, and he said, Jeff, it's all an illusion. That's the last thing I expected him to say. Jeff, it's all an illusion. Anyway, that's all I can say. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. I think that says it all. I'd like to just share two things. I remember seeing Bao at Frank, and I can't think of Frank's last name, but he and his wife moved to India many years ago from Pittsburgh, North Carolina. And I went down there. I'd come from Virginia, and I went down there, and Bao was there. And I sat in the front row. And I just looked at him. I just looked at him. I remembered him from India. But I just melted. That's all I can say. I just sat there and melted. And I tried to hide it, but I'm sitting in the front row. So anyway, that was that. And then the next thing, excuse me, I was at the center, and people would go over to the farm shed and spend time with Bao. And but I wasn't in the crowd, the in crowd, so I didn't know what was really going on. But one morning, this woman went running by with this cereal box and said, Bao's having people over for breakfast. And I said, well, I wasn't invited. She said, well, you don't need to be. All you need is a box of cereal. So I snatched up my cereal box and I went running over, and I opened the screen door, and it was the very end of this long table full of people. And when I came in, he stood up and he walked over to me and he embraced me. So it just took a cereal box, and I'm so grateful. Okay, so that's what I have. Now, I know Miguel, you have wanted to share. Is there anybody else? Okay, Miguel, you want to reshare something?
Please. Wow. Wow, how moving and how beautiful. And I'm sure, wow, that we are basking in it, and so is Baba, and so is Bauji. And I believe that all these beautiful mandali that came down with Baba as one group with him to work with him are just with him now. And also listening to all these beautiful shares about the mandali and about Bauji tonight. So Alan was saying about Bauji and clothes, and Sheila wrote the book about Bauji, saying that when he was young, before he met Baba, he really liked to be a dresser. And he used to have a lot of clothes and a lot of shoes and silk shirts made especially for him, and he was a real dresser. So now I come to see Bauji, and he's in a bathrobe. That's what he was. He was sitting in a bathrobe. Can you imagine any one of you sitting in a bathrobe, accepting all these people coming in to greet him and to do his work as a chairman? So that's what Baba was doing with him, And another thing that I wanted to share was just the experience of coming into the room. Like one day I was going away from Mehernath and I was thinking, wow, not only look at this thing. He's the chairman. He's the head of the whole organization, a worldwide organization, and such a special one. And everyone just can come into his room and into his office anytime. No appointment, no secretaries, no nothing. You just come in and you accept it. And he's in the middle of the work and you can just sit there. He will talk to you and he will also work. And it's just amazing, just so amazing. And another thing that I see with my eyes, like what Jeff said about his last days, he was so sick. He couldn't turn in his bed. He couldn't turn himself. He couldn't move his hands. He was gray. His face was completely gray. And yet people used to come in and visit him and stand by his bed and take photos and take photos next to him. He's in his bed lying and he's gray and he is not able to move. And they're coming in and they're taking photos. I thought it was so crazy. But about coming into, I'm not, all these chats, you know, with the dancing and the names and the singing and the fun and the humor. But when he was working in the office, you could come into the office, but then couldn't go to the office, and he was in his room. And what all you had to do, except on his rest time, you just knock on the door, or don't even knock on the door. You just open the door, and the room was packed, and it was elastic. It was elastic. There was a whole stack of chairs there, and everyone would get a chair, and somehow there was always space to sit there. Like Alan was saying that 10,000 people were in his home, you know, it's amazing. So about this kind of number always used to come into this small room. And it was so amazing. And he always made us laugh. He always made us sing. And just sitting there, the heart was melting and feeling the peace and the love and the beauty of being together, all of us. And he was so simple. He never, I mean, people used to say that he was an egomaniac. Can you imagine? But he was so simple. He was so sweet. He was so humble. He was so loving. It was just amazing. So just walking into the room, it was just like magic. It was just like magic. It was the energy was just amazing. So just walked in. Whether he was working with Mother C, and seeing him with a team, seeing him with all the mothers, with Mother Joy and Mother C and Mother and Janice and MP, and each one of them having their, and Katie Pie and all of them gathered there around him, and he would make them wear these saris and be queens, and and he gave all the men all these titles, and he was just amazing being. It was a wonderful time to be with him, and such a gift from Baba and such a gift of Bauti. Thank you very much. Jai-ho, 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 Jai-Jai-Karo.
Thank you, Mikhail.
And Gabriela Tal used to sing songs for him. Maybe she wants to share.
Well, we have just a few more minutes. We have like 2 minutes, so I am going to ask Gabrielle to share. Hi, Gabrielle.
Hello. Well, I'll sing a verse of not the whole song, but this is one, you know, I wrote a lot of music for Bau's poetry. And this is called The Pearl. He liked it. I misplaced my pearl in the dark of night and forgot where I lost it. Now I have been searching for ages on end. What a fool I am. What a fool I am. I have come to realize that I will not find it without your lamp of love. I got interrupted. I'm so sorry. Should I go on?
Yes.
I have come to realize that I will not find it without your lamp of love. Without your lamp of love. Of love. Oh, Meher, you must forgive me for becoming irritated when you disturb me in sleep. I cannot shake this age-old habit of sleeping. It is natural for me to become irritated when disturbed. But what restlessness you have given me in your love, beloved. Now I cannot sleep, nor can I stay awake, for I suffer from the pain of longing for you. The pain of longing for you. Oh, beloved, why do you hesitate to assassinate me with one stroke when you too suffer for me? I am told that one must suffer infinite pain in order to enjoy infinite bliss. How amazing this relationship with my beloved. My restiveness makes him more restless too. Yet he wants me to become more restive in his love, more restive in his love. I am sorry, oh beloved, you told me to forget everything, but what did I do in my effort to forget? I remembered everything and so lost sight of you, and so lost sight of you. Oh, Bao, do not imagine it is easy to forget everything, for this is not the task of the intellect. Let love for the beloved do this for you, and you needn't trouble yourself to forget. Oh, Bao, do not imagine it is easy to forget everything, for this is not the task of the intellect. Let love for the beloved do this for you, and you needn't trouble yourself to forget. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Gabriella, beautiful. Thank you so much. And now if everyone would like to just unmute themselves, we'll have a moment of silence and then we can say Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai.
Crystal thing I got.
Avatar.
Meher
Meher
Baba
Baba
Ki
Ki Jai.
Jai. Avatar Meher Baba
Avatar
Ki
Meher
Jai.
Baba Ki Jai. Avatar
Avatar
Meher
Meher
Baba
Baba
Ki Jai.
Ki Jai.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Thank you, Ruth and
Jai Baba.
Karen.
Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you,
Thank
Baba.
Thanks.
Wow,
you.
Ruth, thank you for such beautiful co-hosting. Wow. And
Lovely,
everyone
lovely,
here,
lovely.
heard stories. Wow.
Thank you so much. Bye, BJ. Nice to see you, BJ.
How much you love Bhauji, really amazing. I appreciate, really.
Jai Baba.
You have to
Jai
say
Baba.
thank you to Baba for Bauji.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Marilyn, you didn't
Thank you,
share
Bauji.
anything.
Yeah,
Baba very present through Bauji today.
absolutely.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
much.
Baba's
I
John.
can't even think of anything to. Unbelievable. Thank you,
Jai
everybody.
Baba.
Hey, Baba.
What a gathering, what a gathering of love. Bauji would be so happy.
I have to wrap up now because there's we're a couple minutes over for the next person.
Aur Meher Baba ki jai.
If anybody feels
Thank
like
you, Ruthie.
you did a great